Hey guys, it's Biggs. Now, on yesterday's live feed, I alluded to something of all the changes and everything that's going to be happening around the farm as of late. And I mentioned that maybe we should be doing a video and give you guys kind of an update of everything that's going to be happening. So that's what's happening today. There's the changes in there. There's changes out there. There's changes over there. There's all sorts of stuff that's going to be happening. And it's all starting, and it's starting to come to fruition really, really quickly. So I thought we'd give you a quick update of everything that's happening right now. Stay tuned. Now, first is the fact that my wife is constantly using her incubator, and she's buying eggs and she's hatching eggs and she's doing all sorts of stuff. So these are our new flock of guinea fowl. There's one more platinum. We had 2 platinums or 3 platinums, and we've lost a couple. But overall, we've still got a nice big group of them. I don't know what you call a group of guinea fowl. Is it a herd? I don't know. But there's a lot of them, and they basically came from hatching eggs in the house. And then they went to the garage, and then after they all feather out, they migrate outside when it's nice and warm, and they go underneath the trampoline. And unlike chickens, trying to contain the guinea fowl has been a bit of a challenge. So we've even had to tie down the whole thing, top and bottom. It's down all the legs. We have one little spot here where we can open up, we remove the lawn chair, but we even got buckets of sand and rocks to try and keep it all contained. But even the other day, even with all those things, they were all out at the other end of the yard. We have no idea how they got out, but they got out. So they're going to move in with the herd. We only have 3 left of the original ones. There's one right in front of me there, and the other 2 are just on the other side of the fence. Now, what's going to be changing here is a lot of stuff. Firstly, this section of fence runs in kind of a weird angle and joins the chicken coop over there. And this is what we call the dog area. And the dog area has this whole area over the hill for the septic field, all the way to the back there, and right now it ends up over on the other side there. And that's going to change next year. But what's changing this year is this fence is going to be coming down, and we're going to be coming off the other front corner. So instead of the right front corner there where you see it, we're going to be coming off the left front corner, and we're going to be coming in a straight line. You can see a couple of stakes in the ground there. That's going to be the big 10-foot gate that's over here that's going to move. That's going to go over there, and that's going to come in a straight line, and it's going to join up right here. Now, there's all sorts of stakes in the ground. It's an absolute disaster area, but we're making this a proper usable area for all the animals going forward. So basically, you're going to come in that 10-foot space that was behind me I just showed you. The space is 10 foot, and I've got all gates, all matching gates for all of them. This one, the green one I just showed you, is a 10-foot gate, and it's got the chain link on it, so that'll keep the dogs contained. These ones here is this one here that you see here, this 10-foot space. This line is going to continue in a straight line and join up right where that hay feeder is right there, and that's going to come down. And this whole section here, this whole point, is going to disappear. So there's going to be a straight line from that fence is going to draw straight out to here, and it's going to end right about here, 4 feet, and then to our big heavy post, which is laying on the ground there, and we're going to build an H-frame. And an H-frame is like we've got on either side of the gate there. You put the top beam across the top, and then you stretch wire and you tighten it right up, and it makes it nice and square. So I put them on either side of gates, and it keeps it nice and square and holds it up really, really well for long term. So that's where the 10-foot gate's going to be. Kitty corner right at the very back, exactly. Those heavy posts are going to move around a little bit, so it's going to be matching up with this one, and there's going to be a 10-foot gate straight across there for the tractor to go straight through. One big heavy gate here, which will close off all the animals. There's going to be one big heavy gate here, and you can see the pattern for it here. And this is one line of the walls, goes back to there, and there's going to be another one going back to there and joining up to this gate here. That's going to be one big paddock. I guess it's not really big, but it's a paddock. There's also going to be a gate, not sure if it's going to be here or if it's going to be on the other side, but I'll explain that one in a minute. So the other thing that's happening on the cow side is, you've already seen the cow enclosure, is what we're going to do is we're actually going to be giving the cows and the boars a much larger space. So the whole field that I'm standing in is actually doesn't belong to me. It actually is my neighbor's, and it's his feedlot. And the feedlot's all beside me here, and it goes all the way to a secondary fence over there, which is another 300-400 feet away. But this area from my property line, which is where my fence is, to about 100 feet out here to where these kind of hay bales are, is unusable land to him. And he said, if I want to use it for extra forage feed for the animals, by all means, go ahead. All I have to do is make the fence. So instead of his manure pile, which you guys have seen in several videos, we're going to run the fencing straight along the back here. It joins onto our fence in the corner. And then we're going to run a straight line down here. We already took down the old farm fencing, and it's going to join up into almost a corner there. You can kind of see the gray post there in the corner there. It's going to join up about 20 feet out from the forest. And the reason for that is I want the forest to kind of come out a little bit more, and it also gives me a little bit of a service area. So this whole space is going to be fenced, and it's going to be fenced instead of using the goat type wire that we're using everywhere else. We're going to be using just a high tensile wire, and we're going to put 5 strands, and it'll be 1 every foot on 5-foot posts. So instead of the squares and stuff that you see in like the goat type of fencing, we no longer have goats. We're doing it proper, and we're doing it proper for cattle and to be able to maintain the pigs. However, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to take this new forage field and we're going to actually separate it. We're going to put a line right across here, kind of join it up here. And that one for the boars, this will be a secondary one for the boars as well. And that way we can control the breeding, or better yet, make sure that we know when it's breeding. And what's going to happen is the second shed here, this one here is actually on skis, and it's going to be pulled out with the tractor or the Jeep. And this is going to happen tomorrow. And it's going to be pulled out, and it's being placed in this field. Now that faces north, so this is west, this is east, and straight at me is south. And so we're going to be facing the back wall of it facing north, which is the coldest in the winter, and that way the warmth with the doors and everything like that is going to be facing south, southeast. So it's going to place somewhere in this kind of a corner here, and that way it's ready for us to go and build the fencing around it. Now I mentioned how that fence is going to come out from the dog area. We're going to get rid of that weird corner that we had before. It's going to come in a straight line joining up to these kind of posts right here, and then it's going to go in a straight line across and join up to that heavy post right by the Jeep's tire. And that means the second shed is actually going to be inside the compound, so the animals will be around it. It makes it a little bit easier for working with it and stuff. The only thing that we're going to have to change is we're going to have to change the way the electrical is run. And the electrical is going to be run in a different way because we are going to trench from the house. We're going to trench from the house because where this is actually going to be a very, very large chicken coop that a friend of ours is going to be building for us down the road. And it's going to be made, I believe, entirely out of pallets. They have one on their property, and it's really, really cool, the stuff that they've put into it. So I think that's what we're going to do here. And then the chickens will go in there, and they'll be able to clean the whole field and everything and so forth. So here we are on the other side. So 10-foot gate there, 10-foot gate going into the boars, 10-foot gate right in front of me here going into the secondary pasture for the cows. And then we have to rebuild this whole section of fence here that comes down the front line here, encompasses all these sheds, comes to this heavy post, and then kind of joins up here, and we'll have to move that little man gate and change some of the posts around. So after this shed is pulled away, we'll do that. Now, the reason the shed is still there is today, here's those heavy gates. Here's those 4 heavy gates I just picked up the other day. It's a nice $1,000 bill right there. But if you're going to do it, you may as well do it once, right? So what I've built here, this just happened today. This is this makeshift kind of paddock. So we had to take Luna and her babies, Hamlet and Harriet, Bella and Chewy, and push them all back. So there's their house back there. And there's Luna and her baby's house is back there. And they all had to be pushed back into this kind of makeshift kind of wall that we built here out of oak pallets and some 2x4s. It's all screwed together, and it's all tied off with rope inside and everything like that. And for all intents and purposes, honestly, it's pretty solid for what we need. And I threw also the old big tractor tires around behind it, and I stacked up some pallets and steps so we can get over top, so we can go there and access the water dishes and the feed dishes and stuff, and make sure the animals are still taken care of on a daily basis. So we've got there, you can see there's Luna, and there's Gilbert, and there's Percy, and there's some of the chickens. And then out in the field, there's Bella and Chewy. And as I mentioned in the live feed, for those that don't know, we believe Bella has been bred. She was doing something, a behavior the other day that my wife refers to as standing bred. And she stands and she looks different, and she posts with her tail pointing almost straight out. It's a very weird looking position. But so we're hopefully that Bella is bred by Chewy, and then we'd be expecting a nice little baby cow come, more correctly, a coo come spring, probably around April. And then there's Harriet. Harriet, we believe, is due as well. She's going to be due the end of September. And then there's Hamlet. So we have a lot of work that's coming up. Those few posts that you see in front of us here, they're in there. That's from the old existing fence. That's going to be coming down as well. And then once these enclosures are built, the next step that's also going to be happening is the old goat enclosure. That gate that doesn't really, it's not even used, it's just wired shut. This whole section of fencing that goes straight through, and then this whole section of goat fencing is all going to be coming down. So that shed is going to be moved. That's going to be the one that we're going to drag over with the tractor or the Jeep that we talked about on skis. This whole section of fence won't exist. It's going to be on the other side of the sheds. That shed is staying in position where it is there. The shelter is our hay shelter. That's going to be moved. And then all that fence and all that fence there will be all changed. So this will all be one giant section for the cows and the pigs, the female pigs. And then this whole new section will also be for the female pigs as well. So that's their secondary section. And then we have the first section and the secondary section for the boars as well. So we have an absolute ton of work ahead of us. I don't know if you've ever pounded posts before, but we've rented that giant post pounder and the machine broke. And we've been kind of sitting in a holding pattern. There is a huge stack of posts out there, and I've got another huge stack of posts over there, and it's just been waiting in a holding pattern for almost a month. And it's the weather here is absolutely relentless in the summertime. We've had next to no rain. It's just hard, compact ground. So it's a lot of work to get these posts in the ground. These ones are only 4 to 5 inch, but the big heavy posts that we use for all the corners, as well as for the gates, they're 6 to 8 inches, and these things are massive. So it's all coming together. Saturday morning, 8 a.m., bright and early, I'll be at the rental place picking up the shiny new post pounder, driving it back home, and we're gonna get to work. So we'll get you guys some footage of that for the next one. So it's kind of hard to picture the whole thing by just wandering around and seeing it. But that's the shed that's going to be dragged out backwards. It's going to be moved around. It's going to be in that other compound area for the boars. All this other stuff's going to be gone because this fencing will actually be about 12 feet back and it'll encompass around the shed. The one shed that's there already is going to be staying there. Whichever one's easier. Honestly, it doesn't really matter which. They're both identical, so it doesn't really matter. But honestly, this is the one I think will be easier to do a nice gentle swoop and pull it around. And then that hay shelter thing's going to come on the other side here, flip over here and go right here. And then the chicken coop will somehow be built into here, and then the doors will be in it. And taking all the chickens, every chicken that is in her chicken coop right now, and we'll go take a quick look of it, but they're all going to be out here, and they'll all be combing this pasture, cleaning it up. And it's a good way, a natural way of breaking down a lot of the waste products, because they'll eat all sorts of stuff through the waste products of the other animals, and thereby breaking it down even quicker. See, I don't know if you can see it, but there are chickens absolutely everywhere on our property. They're all in the rock gardens. There's a silky rooster there. We've got chickens all over the backyard. They're on the hill. Like, there's chickens absolutely everywhere on our property. But in the house, this chicken coop was designed to hold, I believe it said 8 to 10 chickens. And we probably have upwards of 40, 45, 50 chickens now. It's absolutely crazy. Her and her incubator, and honestly in the incubator right now, the incubator is completely full with 42 eggs. She's got a dozen eggs of something pretty special for herself, for egg production, and she's got a dozen eggs of something super, super cool for me. I know one of you guys are here, and you're hearing me actually say it, admitting that Biggs has got eggs for him of birds. But we have something really, really cool planned for here. And that means that every single chicken that we have that normally comes into this compound is going to be evicted. Yeah, there's chickens absolutely everywhere. You guys are crazy. My wife's crazy. See, this is not that big of a chicken coop. It's definitely not designed for 40, 50 chickens. And we cannot go into this chicken coop with that many chickens going into winter, because honestly, the chickens themselves, they generate a lot of heat, but by generating a lot of heat, they're going to generate a lot of moisture. And moisture in the wintertime is absolutely devastating to chickens. So we got to keep them clean and dry and warm, but not wet. So that is going to be the big challenge. So these guys are going to get a nice big chicken coop that's going to be honestly even bigger than one of those sheds out there. and I think it's going to be super cool. But what's happening with this thing? Well, that's going to be a secret for maybe a month or so down the road. Once it starts, we'll see how they hatch. I believe hatch date is coming up in about a week, and we'll see how everything turns out. But I'm absolutely beyond excited to tell you guys about this new little project for the Mad Aquarist channel. And yeah, it's going to be surrounding birds.